join the class of 2003 for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Welcome. As principal of Bellbrook High School, please accept my appreciation for your attendance at this evening's commencement ceremony to honor the class of 2003. The commencement ceremony is often seen as the end of the educational process, but commencement actually means the beginning, and there have been many beginnings that have brought us here today. As parents, the process began with the birth of a son or daughter. We cherished the days from birth through preschool, and those days were relatively smooth. Kindergarten brought new realizations, the beginning of formal education, and parents saw their child taking their first step towards independence. Not to worry. There are 12 years to go. There's plenty of time. What we didn't realize then, but we realize today, is that time goes too fast. Then came a new beginning, elementary school. And at elementary school, we got to see all the nice projects. We went to all of the performances, and we enjoyed every second as we saw our young children perform. Following that, we had another new beginning, junior high school. That's where we began to see independence develop, an independent spirit. We realized that our sons and daughters had become their own persons. They had their own views, their own likes and dislikes. This beginning required us as parents to develop new skills, patience, tolerance, and recognition of what our own parents had, wisdom. We began to realize that our ability to guide and mold our children was no longer a simple task. It required great skill and patience. Finally, high school arrived. 4 more years, and then adulthood. There is still time, but the time is growing short. There were many new beginnings in high school. New and more difficult classes, career education, college planning, not to mention worrying about funding, getting a driver's license, dating, extracurriculars, first jobs, the making of new friends, and those new beginnings provided for many types of conflict, and a new recognition and adjustment on our part as parents. 13 years had passed, and our children were ready to go out on their own. So here we are today, and we recognize that commencement is here. We know that commencement does not mean the end, but instead another new beginning, a beginning of fulfilling hopes and dreams of every parent and every graduate who sits here today. So as we begin, yes, we commence, we need to thank those who have made this commencement ceremony possible. If you are a parent of one of our seniors, class of 2003, I would like you to stand at this time, please, if you're a parent. The faculty of Bellbrook High School and the class of 2003 are united in their appreciation of you being their first teacher and for always being their #1 fan. I'd also like to recognize other people who came along the way. So if we have any teachers here, and before I start this, I know some of our graduates were showing me letters that they received from their kindergarten teachers. I thought that was a pretty nice touch. So I'd like, if we have any of the teachers from Stephen Bell, Sugar Creek Elementary, Bell Creek, or the junior high school, I would like you to stand at this time. Thank you for giving them the foundation that has brought them here today. I'd also like to ask if we have any of our military people, veterans from World War II on down, if you would stand, please. If you're in the audience today, I would appreciate it that you would stand. You are the reason we're able to be here tonight, and I want to thank you for all the sacrifices that you have made for our country. Seated on the floor is the high school staff, and I'd like to speak a few words about the high school staff since I know them the best. High schools across the country are seen as impersonal places. They're not places that are supposed to be student-centered. And you know, you can define student-centered in many ways. The way I define it is that you try to do always what's right, not easy, to help students achieve and become the very best people they can become. I cannot tell you the sacrifices I see every single day that this staff makes. And I want to thank them for all of the things that I know they do and the countless things I'm sure I don't know. And I ask that our graduates give them a big round of applause too. I have a few other I need to thank. Mr. Mark Herrera, if you'd stand please. Mr. Carrera is the senior class sponsor and has put in many hours to make sure that the class has the things that they've needed throughout their time, even being what we call him the prom king, because he helped carry out the junior prom. So thank you, Mark, for all the things that you have done. Miss Chris Long, if you would stand, please. I'm not sure where Chris is right now. But Chris, she's back here, okay. Chris is our graduation coordinator. She makes sure that everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. Countless hours have been put into planning, working with our valedictorians and salutatorians on their speeches, and certainly I want to thank her. Mr. Carbone, if you'd stand, please. Mr. Carbone and the members of the band, this is the first time that we've done this here at Bellbrook High School. I want to thank you for the preparation and the beautiful music we have here this evening. Let's give him a big round of applause, please. And obviously the band. Mrs. Seiler, if you'd stand, please. Mrs. Seiler has worked from probably about March, I would say, working on music and getting things ready to go and doing countless hours of auditions for those who will perform here tonight. And I thank you very much for making this possible. And I'm not sure where Mr. Hartley is tonight or Miss Sumner, but they're normally here making videotapes. If they're here, would you please stand, please? Okay, would you give them a round of applause, please? And my right and left arms, Mrs. Amy Baldridge and Mr. Brad Nevin, our assistant principals, who helped make sure that everything went the right way tonight. Would you stand, please? And Mrs. Karen Metzler, my secretary, who has stress beyond belief, probably lost more weight than she needs to lose. There's not much of her anyhow, even though she says otherwise, has put in tremendous hours to make sure that the diplomas and everything are just right. And for that, I want to thank her, and I'm not sure where Karen's seated right now, but I didn't want to forget her. So let's give her a big round of applause. And then finally, Dina Briskin, if you would stand, please. Dina Briskin is retiring this year. She serves as a support educator at Bellbrook High School. Many of you sitting out here right now have spent hours and hours with Dina. If you're going to have one criticism of Dina, she's just too nice. And I want to thank you for all that you've done for the students and the staff at Bellbrook High School, and wish you the very best in retirement. My final thanks goes to a man who always puts others first, a leader who believes in the importance of education, doing what is always right for kids, and being an excellent steward for this community. It is my honor to thank and introduce the superintendent of the Sugar Creek Local School District. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Keith St. Pierre.
Always a rowdy one in the bunch, isn't there, you know? You might know it's my kid, yeah. Well, Mr. Burkholz, I want to thank you for those kind words and for your leadership of Bellbrook High School. And to the parents, what a great class. Thank you for your support of our staff and these students through the years at Bellbrook and through the Sugar Creek school system. They've had many successes. We're so proud of them, as you are as well. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to introduce those that are leaders behind the scenes a lot of times that you don't get to see, who make decisions about the great programs that we offer to kids here in this school district. And that's our Board of Education and two of the superintendents who support us from Career Center, Marcia Leonard, and from the county office, Terry Thomas. If they would please stand. Terry, Marcia. We appreciate their support. Board members, President Mike Froning, please stand.